So today we have Tavonia Evans from the US who has created her own cryptocurrency.
Our own.
Oh, created our own. Notice she's saying our, it belongs to us as a community, not just to her. And I think that's really quite sweet. Thank you, Tavonia, for appearing with us. We've got a number of questions we're going to go through. And we will put the details about Tavonia at the end under the video so that you can contact her and buy their cryptocurrency as well. Her cryptocurrency is Guap Coins. Welcome, Tavonia. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about you being in tech. A woman in tech is becoming more frequently seen now. There used to be a time it was actually quite unusual. So tell us, when and why did you start in tech?
Well, I mean, I just have a love for technology from the very beginning. I was around from the very beginning, at least the beginning of what we know to be, the internet, etc. And yeah, I just have a love. I've always been a geek, as people kind of described me that knew me. So it was just natural. I've been tinkering in all different types of technology for many, many years. I've done development, I've done engineering, I've done networks and various different things. I was a certification junkie at one point, just getting certifications and etc. And I even did, I'm also an artist, so I even did desktop publishing and design, and move forward in that as well. So I always had an option to choose which way I wanted to go at what time for a job. If I wanted to get into or contract, if I wanted to do design, I would go design. If I wanted to do development, I would do development. And ultimately, I started my own company with actually one of the Guap governors. We started a company years ago called NEPSA, and we actually did a lot of Hollywood websites. So we built websites for Hollywood celebrities.
Oh, nice.
For a while. Samuel Jackson and very many others. And then I moved into doing more database related stuff and back-end development, apps, moved down that lane into blockchain.
Okay. Now, have you found it easy being a woman in tech and a Black woman in tech?
Initially, I found it easy. I didn't find it difficult until I decided to want to do my own thing. I spent a lot of my work was remote. So I'm granted, I know a lot of people who worked with me didn't know I was a woman at times, and certain times, it's just like you're working remote, you're kind of working with somebody on the other side, and we didn't have a lot of Zoom or anything back then. It was just literally emails and, chats maybe and stuff like that. So working from home, I think, shielded me a lot of the rest of the world. Like I didn't know that men were making more than me because I didn't know what my coworkers were making and, that type of thing. So, but it wasn't until I decided to do my own startup, and I thought that my money could sustain the startup, but I realized that I couldn't scale without other people's money. And that's when I came to find out that Black women don't get funded like other people in tech. So I was surprised. I really was. I was thinking, hey, this is great tech. Everybody says it's great. We're winning, all of these contests and we're on the news and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's a shoe in. We should be able to get funding to do, but we didn't. So that was a wake up call for me. At that point, I realized that, even as a Black woman, that we get less than everybody. You know, so I was really surprised about that. And I definitely want to do something about that at that point, because that's how I am. I'm like, I don't, you know, when I find out something, then I kind of spring into action. Okay, how am I going to solve this?
Mm, mm. So what year did you get the idea for Guap Coin?
2016. We actually launched in 2017. And 2017 was like the ICO era, so they say, and it was like kind of boiling down at that point. So fundraising was kind of grinding to a halt because people were being warned about supporting ICOs and supporting coins and tokens at that point. So it became really, we started at a time where the fundraising part of it was just about over, you know? So it was like, what do we do now? How do we're still in the same situation I've been in the past, and that's raising the funds to do this. But luckily, you know, I think we started with around 2017, about $10,000. And we made that $10,000 into a dream. You know, the dream kept being the end result of what we could accomplish. The beautiful thing is I'm able to do a lot of tech. You know, I was well connected to people who were able to do tech, and we were able to bootstrap Guap Coin to get it to where it needed to be and create our own blockchain, and inevitably in 2018, because in 2017 we launched on Ethereum.
Yes. Okay. All right. So tell me what the difference is between being on Ethereum or being on your own blockchain.
Well, at the time, being on Ethereum and being on another ecosystem, it has its barriers, because when you're on Ethereum, when someone uses your token or whatever, they have to pay gas fees. So it's like double fees, you know, double thing. They have to make sure that they have ETH to take care of the gas in order to transact with this, you know? So I didn't like that. Of course, we didn't like that. Plus, at the time, there wasn't a whole lot of governance built into tokens. Now there's a lot more governance. So it was much more attractive to have your own blockchain so you can do things like governance and, you know, have a fair amount of control over fees, et cetera. Plus, when it comes to decentralization, it's kind of frowned upon to have a set amount of tokens created, which is what a lot of the projects were doing at the time. They were you know, you have to create a set amount of tokens. So it's like, well, who governs those tokens? Who's holding these tokens? Who has access to these tokens? So it takes a little bit of the decentralized part away from it. And it puts you at risk for being labeled as a security. So, you know, having your own blockchain, we started out proof of work and then moved over to proof of stake, but you're minting coins over time. The community is participating in the process of minting coins. Yeah. So it becomes more of a community effort than it does an individual centralized effort.
Okay, that's interesting. So are you saying that you didn't set up a certain amount of Guap coins that you were releasing at the beginning?
When we built our own blockchain, we did a pre-mine of 10 million. And that pre-mine is supposed to act as your reservoir, your cash reservoir, especially if you don't have cash. So what type of, if you have this pre-mine, then you can take this money, and now that you might be able to get on some exchanges, you may be able to do things like sell master nodes, which is what we were doing, and fund additional development, because at that time, you don't just have people who are doing things for free, you know. As I found out early in the beginning, everything had a price tag, and everything had a high price tag. And, you know, even going to the community, you couldn't, people tend to start giving, especially in the Black community, people start to give their free resources when they really are seeing something. They need to see something, you know, they need to see some value, you know. So earlier on, you can't see all of that. So it's hard to get people to involve themselves on a community level to just give their resources. So that was a hard part for us. But thank goodness, like I said, we had the pre-mine that we were able to take coins and raise money that way to do things like pay for development, because inevitably we got our Android and iOS wallets. Inevitably, we were able to update our blockchain. We were able to hire a team, even though typically later on you don't want to have a hired team, you want to have the community team, but in the beginning you're not going to have that. So you're likely going to have to hire a development team, which could be very costly. So all of these things we were able to take those funds and do the things that we needed to do to get us to where we are.
I think it's interesting you said that later on you wanted to have a community team. So were you taking a group of people and training them in how to do all the tech matters to do with blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Well, you don't really train them. What you do is, you get all variety of resources, and it's kind of up to them to learn what part they can contribute to the blockchain. You know what I mean? Because, as a founder, you're not going to have a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. As a founder, your best bet is to become the evangelist of the project that you're pushing. And that's what I did. I'm not a type of person that typically likes to put myself out there. I wasn't on camera a lot. I was behind the computer. I was a geek, and I had to become an evangelist for this, and speak in a way that people would understand, not just from a tech perspective, but from a humanity perspective and a people perspective. I had to become the voice of Guap Coin. You know what I mean? And that was very important. And I think that's very important, especially if you're targeting our people. We're going to need some type of humanity, some type of voice that we can relate with to be able to participate in this project.
Okay. All right. Now, once you got into the crypto space, did you find that the crypto community embraced you, or did they look at you suspiciously, or were they looking at you with admiration? Which one?
Well, I had a split of all three. The general crypto community embraced me because I was a woman and I was stepping up into spaces a lot of women and I stepping up into. So they need a woman, you know what I mean? They need someone. They can't just have this whole big spread of men in these conferences and stuff like that, because that's not going to be relatable and somebody's going to call them on it. So they need as many women who are willing to step up as possible. So they embraced me. I did a lot of conferences. I traveled all over the world. However, my community, that was difficult. I had actual crypto groups that, they called me a scammer. And I had them attack me. I had them send folks for me. I had them threaten to call the feds on me. Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, it was hard.
Why did they do this as a community? Why?
Well, I mean, because they're afraid. It's fear. You know what I mean? It's fear. That's all it is to it, and a lack of understanding. I think that so many things about this, because it's new and it's new technology, and there isn't even really a regulatory framework for it yet. People think in the past. They're still thinking with their fiat mind and in the fiat and in the United States government mind and the old laws mind. And I like to call it the plantation. And people don't realize that they're still on the plantation until, till something new shows up. And then they realize they're still on the plantation. And that's even in terms of their thinking, So I'm so sorry. Somebody interrupted with a call.
That's okay.
But yeah, so that type of thinking, I had to be more understanding. And I used that energy to better myself. You know what I mean? How could I be more clearer? How could I be more transparent? How can I overcome these obstacles? What do I need to do to gain the trust and assurance of people, the people that I'm really trying to reach? And being understanding, because we all know why we're in this position, why we continue to be in this position. So this is not something that was not to be expected. But it's still hard and it's still hurtful. you know, because many of the people who lead these things, I've had to sit next to them in real life, and they wouldn't have a discussion with me like they had a problem with me. You know, they're smiling, and then on the internet, they're shredding me to pieces, you know? Yeah, so, you know, so I had to deal with that, but that helped me, that helped toughen me up and helped me to hold my head up high, because here it is, you know, years later, I'm still here, you know what I mean? So, and I think it's that duration that helps to build the trust. Like, you know, these scams that pop up, like they're gone, they're here today, gone tomorrow. No one's gonna stick around for 3 or 4 more years. You know what I mean? And that's what they got going on. No one's gonna push the needle. I've been to the government, I've been to Congress, I've been all these different places. I try to put myself out there as much as possible.
And I think that helps to draw people to you, because perhaps, as you rightly said, people are scared or they don't quite understand the new technology. And the fact that you put yourself out there and you're answering the calls, whether it's for speaking, for conferences, for interviews, so people can get to know you. And in a way, it's almost like they have to see your heart to understand your sincerity and what you're doing. And I think you've definitely approached it the right way. But I can understand that it would have been disappointing and maybe hurtful when people were not supporting you as they should have done. And the internet is the kind of place where people can easily say horrible things because they're behind the screen and they don't really have to answer to what they say. So,
right. Yeah, I had a situation where I had people reaching out to people I know who do trust me, you know, and trying to grill them on questions, you know, has she done this to you? Have they done that to you? You know, like they're building a federal case against me.
Really?
Yeah, I've had some doozy of situations, but I have to say that's in the past. It hasn't been like that since before the pandemic. I think the pandemic really toned a lot of that rhetoric down.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my goodness. Well, it means that you have to have a particular strength if you're going to go into this kind of thing. What has given you your strength?
Well, my children. You know, I can't turn back on them now. I'm like, you know, you get so far down the line, you realize you can't go back. There's no turning back. You know, the former life is now totally gone. You got to figure out how to deal with the new life.
Tell me about your children. How many do you have?
I have 8 children.
8? From what ages to what age?
My youngest is 11. My oldest is 25. Is she 25 now or 26? I can't remember if she turned 25 or 26 the last birthday. I think she's 26.
Oh,
yeah, she's 26.
How do you manage with the, you know, I mean, this must be a pretty busy lifestyle. But
well,
how do you
I would
manage?
say that my children were definitely made for me. So they were born into the same mindset that I have, and this is the life that's comfortable for them. You know, they're not they just, you know, they were definitely made to be a part of this family.
Are any of them following you into tech?
Yes, actually, my 17-year-old he's into game development, and he's had a game development company since he's been 13.
What?
Yeah, and now he approached me a couple of weeks ago, said he wants to do a VR company. So I'm going to help him with that, with immersive tech. So, yeah, he's been a businessman. We call him the billionaire around here.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. All the other kids, it's like, yeah, that's the billionaire. He's definitely going to be something huge.
Okay. Do you have any artists among them?
Oh yeah, they're all artists. Yeah, they're all artists. My daughter was a musician. My oldest son, he's my game developer is also a musician. He plays the piano. He's in a band at school. So he does music, and so yeah, it's real diverse here.
So are they getting into NFT, or are you getting into NFT?
everybody keeps asking me that. I consult on a few projects. I am an artist, so I'm considering it. I don't want to do it because it's like I'm a little bit of a rebel. I don't like to do fatty things, things that are like, everybody's like NFT. I don't want to do it as a fad, but I would like an outlet for my art. So I was like, that would be a nice outlet to do some of my art. So eventually I probably will. I'm not really like super pressed on doing it now. I don't even have a lot of time to do my art anymore, but yeah, I'm into it. I'm into it from a legacy perspective because I'm advising some family, some families who have historical music catalogs and stuff like that I'm advising them on, going in that direction, because I think that's a part of the whole Black experience is recovering our legacies and getting paid for them. A lot of people have gotten paid off of our musical legacy.
Exactly.
And it's time for that to be, fixed.
And as a people, we are so talented in so many different ways, but over history, we haven't been the ones that have been paid properly for our art.
No,
other people have been benefiting, and we suffer while we are producing the goods,
Yeah.
So where can we see your art? Do you have like a website or an Instagram with just your art?
Not yet. A lot of people who follow me on social media, some of my other social media platforms, have seen stuff that I've shared, over time. But I definitely plan on putting together a catalog and putting it and publishing it. And also writing books. So that's what I'm in the midst of doing as well.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely. Yes, you have to tell your story, and I'm sure you have many stories. In fact, there was one tweet that grabbed my attention, and I responded to it on Twitter when you said, in my book, I have a chapter on traitors, and it's a long chapter. On betrayal, in fact, was a word you used. Yeah. Tell us about that, but don't give us any names.
Well, my first company, I dealt with that. My partner was a woman, so I dealt with who was actually a close friend of mine. So I dealt with betrayal on different levels there. And like I said, the various groups that I spoke of, these were headed by women, that, didn't, that were kind of like anti-Guap Coin, anti-Tavonia Evans and stuff like that. So I've dealt with that. I haven't dealt with it so much on a personal basis. But people who know me, they tend to be really good to me. But people who don't know me, and I notice, I guess that's with anybody who's in the public eye. People who don't know you, they're going to assume whatever they want to assume about you.
But you need to be celebrated as a hero, and I presume that some people do, because you've stepped into a world that not many of us are there at all, and you're kind of ahead of a game. You're a trailblazer. There'll be others who will probably follow behind you. So, the whole of your country, the whole of the USA should really celebrate you as a hero. And I'm sure that they will,
I'm so shy. I don't know what I do, but okay.
Well, you know what? What's interesting is that you say that you're shy, but you also know you have a responsibility to push and promote what you're selling. If you don't do it, okay, you could push other people, but you're the brains behind it. So
yeah, I have to. That's why I've made a commitment with myself to not turn anybody away that wants to interview me. Or whatever time. I've gotten up at 4:00 in the morning to be interviewed from India. I've gotten up, yeah. So, I've made that commitment because I was like, that's the grassroots underground way, you know what I mean? Just promote, get up and talk about what you believe in, I believe that's what Harriet Tubman would do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Relentlessly, if she's, trying to abolish, she tried to abolish slavery. So I'm trying to abolish financial slavery, financial poverty, those types of things. So I have to get up and push myself to show up wherever I'm called. And it's a difficult thing. And it's a difficult thing for Black women too, because, you know, it's so many different levels that you feel like you have to represent, you have to present, you know, and, you know, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of energy to do this kind of stuff. I really applaud people who you turn around and you see them everywhere. People think that's easy. It is not easy at all.
Yeah, I know it's not easy, especially with some tech tasks that take much longer than people realize. You know?
Yeah, and then just the preparation, you know, the preparation, the before and after, the everything. It takes a lot of energy to do this. I applaud people who do YouTube and do all of this stuff on a consistent basis, because this is not easy.
I know. So we find it out ourselves, because we recently started pushing our YouTube channel 3 months ago, and I'm still surprised at the amount of time it takes, because, you know, that's like a sideline. It's not our main work, you know. So yes, you're right. All of these things take a lot of time. Tell me about a high point, or some high points that you've had over the last few years that have made you feel, yes, this is definitely worth it.
Well, I had a high point yesterday because I was actually watching I was watching a lot of programs on sharecroppers. I just kind of got, you know, you get off on a tangent, and I was watching some documentaries, and it was just really heart-wrenching, you know, again, what our folks have been through. And so I was feeling a certain kind of way, but a young lady reached out to me on Twitter, and she tagged me. She was like, I'm working on this NFT art piece. She's 12 years old. And I was inspired by Crypto Diva and someone else to do this. And I was like, oh, wow. You know, and then I went and I saw she was an artist, and she's going to submit this into an art contest. And she just, you know, told me I inspired her, you know, and that was huge for me. It took me from here to here, you know. So it's those kind of things that are high points to me, more so anything else. Like some people think, well, you know, they get excited about seeing the value of guap, you know, like, oh, it goes up to this. I don't get excited about those things, because those things are subject to ups and downs. Okay. I get excited about the people. And people on an individual level that I communicate with. That gives me a boost to continue doing what I'm doing, because when you're doing this stuff, you need that boost from people to continue. You do, because you will really fall to some very, very low levels of just, whether it's fatigue from working, staying up all night working on a project, or feeling like you're not seeing progress, and there is. You know, all of those things, you need people to help give you a boost.
Yes, I understand. Totally understand that. Okay. Now, do you feel that Guap is meeting the needs that you've set up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that we just are waiting for the people to show up, and that's going to happen. I follow trends in the way things happen in the Black community in terms of viral. People think things just happen overnight, like you wake up and something viral. It doesn't happen that way. You know, there is a underground kind of effort, concerted effort to push something, you know what I mean? And it becomes a part of the collective viral energy. Like all of a sudden, everybody's doing this thing because it's something that's been building. You know, so I definitely see the energy of us needing our own currency, us wanting financial independence, us wanting independence in general, us wanting to be recognized, reparations. All of these things are building up to a point where I think that it's going to be, that bubble is going to burst, and we're going to get some major, major traction in what we're doing.
Okay. I see also that you're looking at giving out grants to organizations and to businesses. Is that right?
Yes, we have a foundation, the Guap Foundation, Guapcoin Foundation, and that their existence is to make sure that we maintain the mission of Guapcoin, and also we direct funds to businesses, Black businesses, et cetera, organizations, and we keep our commitment to the community. So they're working on lots and lots of different efforts in that way. and having this currency enables us to have the financial power to be able to do that.
Okay, wonderful. All right. So can one buy and sell using Guap Coin, just like you can with normal money?
Yes. And if you have an online store, we have a partner with a company called a partnership with a company called Coin Payments, which is a payment processor, and they provide payment plugins for WordPress, for Shopify, some of the popular e-commerce sites. And if you install one of those plugins, it automatically converts it over to what it needs to convert over to Guap. And the customers can pay using Guapcoin. Then you can also send Guapcoin back and forth, of course, using the mobile wallets or desktop wallets, or accept it on, on the spot. We're also working on a merchant platform as well, which is GuapPay, which will help empower more merchants to be able to accept Guapcoin. And not to mention, we'll be releasing a Guapcoin debit card soon.
Oh, wow, that's great. Okay, so how can people purchase Guap coins? Are you
right
on
now,
any exchanges?
Yes, we're on Probit. We're on an exchange called Probit, probit.com. You can get it there. We're expanding into the DeFi ecosystem. We're creating an extension, an extended Guap that's going to run on other blockchains. So that'll allow us to get into DEXs like Uniswap or PancakeSwap or all of these other places. Our first extended Guap is going to be on Binance Chain. The second one is going to be on Ethereum. So there will be a pretty automatic process of converting your regular Guap to extended Guap so that you can use it other places.
Okay, wow, okay. Have you done any work in terms of promoting Guapcoin in Africa?
Yes, lots of work with Africa.
Oh, really? Wow. What country?
Yeah. I've been to Ghana, speaking there. I spoke with people from Liberia, spoke with some people from South Africa, spoke with some people from Zimbabwe. So I see Guap ultimately having a very, very good presence in Africa one day.
Okay, wow. And do you see other coins that are doing a similar thing to you? Do you see them as friendly competition, or do you feel like
the funny
you're
thing
all on
about
the right track?
Funny thing about it is you don't see a lot of cryptocurrencies doing as much, organic work with the communities. You'll see they have influencers and they'll go on Twitter like, hey, yeah, go get this, go get that. But you don't see as many actually planting those seeds in the community for mass adoption. And I think that that's what we're doing. I think that once Guap catches on in our community, we're going to be the leaders in the mass adoption of crypto.
Well, I hope so. That sounds great. All right. And what about the UK? Have you been promoting it in the UK?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, some of our earliest adopters are from the UK, actually.
Oh,
some of the first phone calls I got from people from the UK, like Colin Muhammad. Hi, Colin. If he sees this, he's actually the person that organized the last Zoom we had with people from the UK. So yeah, we've been dealing with people from the UK for a while.
Oh, that's good. If you've got his support, that's amazing. That's brilliant. That's great. Well, we would certainly like to support you as well. Black Economics is going to be promoting Guap Coin also.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, we want to encourage people to get it. What's the current price for Guap Coin?
I think it's at 20 cents. It's been floating around 20 cents recently. A give or take there. That's where it's been for the last month.
So basically they can buy 100 for £20 or $20. Yeah. Or they can buy 1,000 for 200. Okay. When you actually released Guapcoin initially, what was the price then? Was it about 1 cent?
We started out very low. like around a cent. And we stayed around 5 cents for a very long time, actually. And it wasn't until we turned into 2021 that all changed. We took leaps from there. So I would definitely say that 2021 is the year of the altcoin. And it ain't over yet. We ain't even get to halfway through.
Well,
We
that's
might
right.
be we might be the underdog, but we may come out on top by the end of the year.
Well, that's right. It's interesting. I've been looking at a few other altcoins that have been in the news quite a lot recently, and one that was started as a joke, would you believe? Dogecoin.
Yeah, Dogecoin.
You know, it started as a joke, and look at it now. And you started yours with a compelling reason, one that really we should all get behind. You know.
Yeah, and that's what made me know it was going to take time. The compelling reasons take time. You know, the fads, they're quick. You know, they're quick hits, but the compelling reasons, they take time. But once they get there, they're here to stay. You know, the fads might come and go.
Okay. Now, how can a person earn Guap? How can a person earn Guap? You had some information.
You can earn Guap various different ways. Of course, by having a masternode, getting a masternode or a masternode share. Masternodes are just nodes that process transactions instantly, and the owners of those are incentivized and paid in Guapcoin on a daily basis. So it's like mining, if you're familiar with mining in crypto, except we stake. So that's one way to earn Guapcoin. Another way to earn Guapcoin is to invest in Guapcoin and save it, which is staking, saving it in your wallet, and you can earn staking rewards. Other ways are joining the community and offering some of your services or whatever for Guapcoin is a great way of earning Guapcoin as well. I mean, there's various different ways, and sometimes we do contests, sometimes we do drops, you know, where we give away just a few people giving away Guap on social media, giving away a couple of coins every day, stuff like that. Okay.
So with the masternode, is this similar to Bitcoin where you've got a computer on every day, all day?
There's different ways of having a masternode. If you build your own masternode, then you run your computer because you want to earn staking or whatever the case may be. But if you host, you get a hosted masternode, which is one of the services I offer. Other people offer it as well. Then you don't have to run your computer. It can go straight to your mobile device. Your earnings will go to your mobile device.
Because I think I heard recently there's a concern about the amount of energy that.
That's the thing, because we're a staking, not a proof of work. So we have a low power algorithm. So it's very, very low power. Matter of fact, the algorithm that we use is low enough to run in IoT devices like refrigerators, TVs, stuff like that. So staking is much more green than proof of work is. Proof of work uses a tremendous amount of energy. We're not proof of work.
Okay. So anybody who's interested in that, is there a page on your website where they can see this information and say, okay, yeah, we want to own a masternode or we want to do staking?
On guapcoin.org. Yes, there's some information on masternodes.
Okay, that's great. All right. Well, I think you're doing a tremendous job. And I just want to say thank you for doing it, for having the courage to do it, because sometimes people get ideas and they're not brave enough to follow it through, but you did, and you're still doing it. And looking great while you're doing it, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're a shining example of what mothers can do, you know, because to look at you and to see the amazing thing that you're doing within technology and within the fintech space, and to know that you're a mother of 8 children is really just amazing. You're an example for other mothers out there. You're like the poster girl for mothers out there. So well done.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing. And we're going to connect as Black Economics. We're going to be helping to push Guap Coin as well. And we want to watch it carefully and see it grow, you know? So well done once again. And thank you so much for doing this interview.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Stay in touch.
Love to.